Well, good morning, South Carolina.
Good morning.
Are you all ready for a big, big, big week?
Yes.
I hope you are. We have, well, first of all, it's just a pleasure to welcome you here. I've been serving as chair of the steering committee for the event we were about to partake of. And we have been working for about 68 weeks for this moment to welcome all of you fine Democrats to our fair city. You know, once a mayor, always a mayor, so I was very, very concerned initially about how we would look, how we would act, and how you would feel when you arrived in our fair city. And so far, so good. The good Lord's kind of been playing around with it a little bit with the rain. But yesterday we had an event right in our uptown to be a little bit different from other Democratic conventions. We wanted to engage the delegates with our citizens. So we had something called Carolina Fest, and I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to be a part of that. But so often, you know, you go to these conventions and the delegates are so restricted in what they can do. They go from the breakfast in the morning, like we were here this morning, to a couple of forums, and then right into the convention hall. And then maybe at the end of that, you might get a chance to go to a party or two. But we wanted this opportunity yesterday to, in fact, engage Charlotte, engage North Carolina with our delegates, our fine delegates from all across the country. And I'm so happy that my home state of South Carolina asked me. Don Fowler called me up. I think I'm supposed to hear something today from Dick Riley, our great governor from South Carolina, who has just done such a great job, both in the state and on the national scene. And your chairman, Dick, thank you for all the help you've been giving us in trying to raise the money to support this convention. He's just absolutely been outstanding, and a very outspoken Democrat in what they say is a red state. It's time for y'all to change that state back to blue. You know, I think that is very possible, but you've got to be determined to, well, I know you are, but every time I look south from North Carolina, you know, I'm saying there is no reason. The message of the Democratic Party is tailored to the average citizen in South Carolina. And when we talk about strengthening the middle class that's been beaten down for so long, South Carolinians ought to hear that message. And I guess they depend on you to do that. But anyway, I want to say welcome and to say how pleased I am that you're here, and pleased that Don would ask me to come and say a few remarks to you. I want to share something with you. A lot of wonderful things have happened to me in South Carolina. I grew up in Charleston, had wonderful parents who are now in their late 80s and still living there and still doing well. And called them last night to say I'm coming to speak to our people this morning, and they're pleased about that. But I recall November 2nd, I believe it was, 2008, when President Obama was officially declared the winner of the election and had beaten John McCain. And my wife and I had decided that we would not go to a party that night at all. We said we wanted to be in our own living room and quietly take this in and recognize the serious, historical moment that the entire nation was going to witness. And we had a couple of phone calls we wanted to make when he was declared the official winner. I wanted to talk to my parents. My father, who grew up in Adams Mountain, South Carolina, 26, 27 miles from Charleston, who never, ever had the chance to go to high school because there was no high school in the rural county that he lived in, rural parts of Charleston County. And my mother, who labored long and hard to make sure that we got all the right values, that we studied hard and that we succeeded. I wanted to talk to them when Obama was declared the president-elect. I wanted to talk to my dad because he was so proud the day that a judge or a court of appeals said Harvey Gantt has the right to go to Clemson. And he thought that was a significant way to get back at a system that did not allow him to get a high school education in his county. And he couldn't go to Charleston to Burke High School because he was the oldest in the family and had to keep the family farm. So he was denied a high school education, but he got a chance to see his son go to Clemson and to educate all of his other 4 children, and all of them got master's degrees. And he believed that the promise of America, was being made real right before his eyes. But I wanted to call them on this November night to say to them, hey, the dream is still alive and there's still much work to do, but could you have ever imagined? They said, son, we thought you were going to be a United States Senator. We thought you were going to be a United States Senator. We are beginning to believe that hard work does pay off, that the country is moving closer and closer to what Martin Luther King said, not the color of my skin, but the content of my character. We thought the country was moving in that direction, and we have seen it manifest in your life, in the life of your siblings. We've seen it all around us in terms of the progress we've made here in this state. So yes, this is a great moment, but we probably never quite envisioned that America would elect an African-American president before we went to our grave. That was a significant moment for me. It meant everything for me to see my parents succeed. And you know what? I've watched this president. I've watched him, and I know him personally. I know he goes to bed every night thinking about us, thinking about Americans, thinking about trying to make it better. And I suppose the thing that's driving me right now, because we all know what he inherited, I still remember the expression on his face when he stood and accepted the nomination, accepted the presidency in Grant Park. I said to my wife, you know, he looks very sober. He doesn't look as excited as I would be. I'd be jumping up and down, and he was too presidential that night. But it occurred to me that he never knew how bad things were until he'd been told how bad things were. And we never knew how bad things were. We never knew how bad George Bush left this country, what kind of shape he left the country in. The president knew at that point. And he knew he had a task before him. The worst recession since the Great Depression. He knew that he had a task before him. And I think he has handled it with grace, competency, and courage. And I believe that he needs to be given a chance. And I heard a lot of hot air coming out of Tampa last week. But we're going to cool some of that down, and we're going to tell the nation this week. We're going to tell the nation this week what this great man has accomplished. And we're going to go out and work to make that happen. Now I started to say that my nightmare, what drives me harder than anything else, is the fact that I'm probably going to sit in my living room again on November 6th, waiting for the final word. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to sit until it happens. And then I'm going to have the blessing of making that call again to my parents, who will then be 90 years old and 88 years old. And I'm going to make that call to say, see, America is a great country. We have reaffirmed a president who needs 4 more years to make that dream come true for so many Americans. So that's what's driving. That's what's driving. And I'm hoping that it's going to drive you too. You know, your delegates, you are representing your various communities across South Carolina. People are looking to you. People respect who you are. I don't care if you're a red state. I don't care if you don't get as many TV ads. Well, people in Rock Hill get a lot of it, but as we're getting here in North Carolina. I think we can win in South Carolina. I think you can motivate people. If you delegates will go home with fervor and fire and say, look, here's what this man has done. Don't run away from what the economy has been like. Today, General Motors is alive. And again, the largest car company in the world. And those, well, I'm not going to give a political speech, but you know what I'm talking about. We have got to say that we shouldn't run away from where the nation is. Sure, we've got a lot of unemployed people, but we could have been far worse off, had we not seen this man do what he's been able to do. So don't run away from that. Don't run away from Obamacare. Obama does care, and he does care about Americans, and 30 million Americans who were not insured will be insured under Obamacare. So don't let these folks con you into believing that Obama does not care. Maybe it's Romney that does not care. Obama does care. Don't run away from it. Don't be bashful about the Democratic agenda. I do see it, even in my state. I see a lot of Democrats who walk around apologizing and on the defense about a lot of that hot air we saw and heard last week. A lot of them are on the defense. We win by being on the offense. We win by being proud Democrats. And I hope you'll do the same. God bless you, and good luck. Have a great time this week in Charlotte.